The moment you step through the doorway into any room, whether it is a high-stakes board meeting, a crowded social event, or an intense negotiation, a complex web of hidden dynamics is already active. Conversations are flowing, subtle hierarchies are being enforced, micro-alliances are operating beneath the surface, and emotional tensions are quietly charging the air. Most people walk into a room completely blind to these invisible forces. They are focused entirely on themselves, checking their own reflection, rehearsing what they plan to say next, or managing their own social anxiety. They enter as noisy participants rather than keen observers, completely missing the crucial signals that dictate who actually holds power and where the true emotional temperature sits. Mind. Mastering the skill to read a room in under 60 seconds is the ultimate social superpower. It elevates you from an oblivious bystander to a composed, high-status strategist who can adapt instantaneously to any environment. When you possess this level of situational awareness, you never blunder into active conversational landmines, pitch an idea to a decision-maker who is currently furious, or misread a hostile atmosphere for a warm, welcoming committee. You perceive reality as it truly is, gaining the clarity needed to navigate complex human spaces. With effortless precision and absolute poise, Dale Carnegie emphasized that the foundation of deep influence begins with outward observation. Human beings are constantly broadcasting their true feelings, intentions, and internal status through non-verbal channels long before they ever open their mouths. Body posture, eye movement patterns, spatial orientation, and vocal resonance leak high-fidelity psychological data into the room every single second. However, to capture and decode this data in real time, you must perform a fundamental internal shift. You must train yourself to quiet your own ego and direct your attention outward the very second you cross the threshold. To read a room in 60 seconds, you do not scan randomly or rely on vague intuition. You execute a systematic, rapid, 3-step diagnostic scan. In the first 10 seconds, you map the physical layout and baseline energy of the space. In the next 20 seconds, you identify the structural power hubs and conversational gatekeepers. In the final 30 seconds, you track the subtle non-verbal microexpressions and spatial dynamics that reveal the unspoken relationships and tension points active in the room. When you execute this rapid scan, you do not step into the room seeking validation or approval. You step in as an unbothered, highly observant leader who absorbs the room's atmosphere instantly, giving you total leverage before you even utter your first word. In the next section, we will break down the exact mechanics of the initial sensor-second environmental and spatial scan, showing you how to pinpoint the true power broker in any room instantly. Observing spatial orientation, non-verbal cues, and underlying energy upon entering a room gives you immediate psychological leverage. The first 30 seconds of entering any room require you to ignore the superficial noise and focus on spatial power mapping. Most untrained observers assume the person talking the loudest, gesticulating most wildly, or standing in the center of the floor holds the power. In reality, the loudest person is often compensating for low status or desperately seeking approval from the room. The true power broker, the person whose unspoken opinion actually dictates decisions, operates with far more subtle, high-gravity presence. Dale Carnegie observed that high-influence individuals do not fight for attention. Attention naturally flows toward them. To locate the true power broker in under 30 seconds, Track where everyone else's eyes travel during moments of transition, humor, or unexpected interruption. Blend. When someone tells a joke, drops a sudden piece of news, or when a loud noise occurs outside the door, observe the immediate micro reactions of the room. You know, the eye gaze vector on human beings instinctively look at the person whose approval matters most. Dot to them the exact moment something surprising or funny happens. If 5 people laugh at a joke, watch who they look at first. The individual receiving the majority of those split-second glances is the implicit leader of the group. Physical orientation. Look at people's feet and torsos rather than their faces. Faces can easily lie. Lower bodies rarely do. Notice whose direction the majority of open torsos and foot angles are pointing toward. Even if a low-level speaker is presenting, the room's physical alignment will remain subtly angled toward the true decision maker. Lean. Once you have identified the power broker, immediately assess their spatial dominance and comfort baseline. High-status individuals occupy space with unforced ease. They keep their shoulders broad, their movements slow and deliberate, and their physical posture relaxed without slouching. Conversely, individuals experiencing high anxiety or low status will exhibit spatial compression, pulling their limbs close to their torso, constantly adjusting their clothes, checking their phones impulsively, or taking up as little physical footprint as possible. Then next, map the conversational gatekeepers. In every room, there are individuals who act as emotional clearinghouses. They are the ones who moderate who speaks next, validate or dismiss ideas with quick nods, and manage the room's conversational flow. Learns. If you notice a clear tension between a power broker and a gatekeeper, such as tight facial muscles, crossed arms angled away, or subtle eye rolls, you have just uncovered an active political micro-rift. Despite lacking eye gaze vectors, spatial footprints, and torso orientations in your first 30 seconds, you construct a high-accuracy topographical map of the room's real power hierarchy. You now know exactly who needs to be won over, who holds genuine influence, and which individuals are merely putting on a performative display. Leremden, in the next section, we will cover the final 30 seconds of the scan, reading the hidden emotional baseline, detecting tension spikes, and using micro-expressions to calibrate your entry perfectly. Tracking eye gaze vectors during moments of humor or surprise instantly reveals the true power broker in any room. The final 30 seconds of your initial scans focus on reading the room's hidden emotional baseline and detecting subtle tension spikes. Every group setting develops an overarching emotional climate, ranging from warm, collaborative openness to anxious, defensive hostility. Entering a room without calibrating to this baseline is social suicide. Pitching a lighthearted joke to a room gripped by high-stakes anxiety, or bringing rigid formality into a relaxed brainstorming session immediately marks you as an out-of-touch outsider. Banned. To accurately read the emotional baseline, you must look past performative smiles and polite head nods. Focus your attention on high fidelity, involuntary micro-expressions, and physical tension indicators that reveal the room's true emotional state. Tune a vocal pitch and pacing. Listen to the ambient sound of the room before you jump into conversation. High-pitched, rapid-fire speech patterns paired with nervous, overlapping laughter signal high collective anxiety or underlying panic. Conversely, a measured, steady conversational cadence with comfortable pauses indicates genuine confidence and low stress. Land facial micro tensions. Observe the eyes and jawlines of key figures. Genuine engagement and warmth are marked by soft eye contours, visible crow's feet around the eyes, and relaxed jaw muscles. If you notice tight, pursed lips, quick darting glances, or clenched jaw muscles beneath polite smiles, the room is experiencing suppressed conflict or distrust. Malleable behaviors. Pay close attention to how people position objects and physical limbs. When individuals feel defensive or threatened by an ongoing topic, they instinctively erect physical barriers, crossing arms tightly over the chest, holding coffee cups like shields at chest height, or placing laptops and folders directly between themselves and the rest of the group. Dale Carnegie stressed that the secret to disarming tension and establishing immediate rapport lies in meeting people where they are emotionally before attempting to lead them where you want them to go. Once you have accurately read the room's emotional climate, you execute vocal and energy calibration. Blend. If the room is charged with anxiety, do not match their high-strung, nervous energy, nor should you dismiss it with jarring, dismissive, toxic positivity. Instead, enter the space with a calm, low register voice and deliberate, grounded movements. Your grounded composure acts as a stabilizing anchor, forcing the surrounding anxiety to drop to your controlled level. If the room is energized, open, and fast-paced, match their conversational tempo and posture initial warmth while maintaining high stage-value composure. By taking those final 30 seconds to decode non-verbal microtensions, track physical barrier behaviors, and calibrate your energy precisely to the room's emotional state, you eliminate all social friction. You transition from an observer to an authoritative, seamless presence who belongs in the room naturally. In the next section, we will break down how to handle active hostility, sudden conversational silence, and unexpected power plays the moment you enter a high-stakes room. Reading involuntary facial microtensions and physical barrier behaviors exposes suppressed room friction before a word is spoken. Even when you master spatial mapping and non-verbal diagnostics, you will occasionally walk into a room caught in an active social crisis, an ongoing argument, an awkward silence following an insult, or an immediate, coordinated power play directed straight at you the moment you cross the doorway. Low-status individuals react to sudden environmental hostility with immediate defensiveness, nervous fidgeting, or over-the-top submissiveness. A true master of situational awareness treats sudden room hostility not as a personal crisis, but as an opportunity to demonstrate absolute emotional dominance. Consider the scenario where you step into a meeting room and are met with total silence, cold stares, or an overt testing comment designed to unsettle you right out of the gate. Hostile room member, glad you finally decided to join us. We were starting to think you forgot about the meeting, An untrained person immediately gets defensive, offers a rushed explanation about traffic, or laughs off the passive-aggressive dig with a nervous chuckle. Doing so hands immediate control of the room to the challenger. Blends. When facing an immediate power play or sudden hostility upon entering, execute the 3-second thermal reset. First, do not move or speak for 3 full seconds. Freeze your physical posture, keep your hands quiet, and hold a neutral, unbothered expression. That deliberate stillness disrupts the room's expectation of an emotional reaction and instantly signals high status. Second, do not apologize or offer an explanation. Look directly at the individual who launched the dig, maintain steady eye contact, and respond with a low register, unhurried statement that redirects the focus back to objective reality. You know, everything is right on schedule. Let us get directly to the core objective. Dale Carnegie emphasized that when confronted with social friction, matching hostility with anger only escalates the storm, while backing down destroys your authority. By maintaining complete emotional neutrality and stepping directly over their provocation, you demonstrate that your baseline is entirely immune to their petty dominance games. Yep. Another critical scenario is walking into a room frozen by active internal conflict, where two key figures have just had a blowout before your arrival. The air is thick with tension, arms are crossed, and no one is speaking. Minds. If you ignore this dynamic and launch straight into a pre-planned presentation, your ideas will fall flat because the room is mentally trapped in the unresolved conflict. Bamdian. Instead, acknowledge the room's heavy energy implicitly without picking sides or naming names. Use a calm, open conversational bridge. No. Before we dive into the agenda, let us take a quick 30 seconds to align our primary focus for today so we maximize everyone's time. Mandy, this brief reset gives the room permission to shift gears, releases the pent-up tension, and positions you as the grounded, stabilizing force who restored order to a chaotic room. Domed. In our final section, we will bring together every element of spatial mapping, power tracking, and emotional calibration into an untouchable lifetime system for dominating any room you step into. Responding to immediate room hostility with deliberate physical stillness and neutral redirection asserts instant status. The ability to read a room in under 60 seconds is far more than an impressive social trick. It is the foundational pillar of long-term strategic dominance, deep influence, and absolute emotion. When you enter any space with heightened situational awareness, you stop reacting to the world around you and begin actively shaping it. You no longer wander into hidden political landmines, fall prey to covert dominance games, or waste your valuable energy on people who hold no real influence. You operate with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who sees the entire chessboard while everyone else is still trying to figure out the rules. So, Dale Carnegie's core message throughout his work was that genuine influence stems from a relentless focus on others rather than oneself. When you quiet your internal chatter, step outside your self-absorption, and pay total attention to the non-verbal signals of those around you, people intuitively sense your presence. They recognize you as someone who is deeply perceptive, emotionally grounded, and fundamentally secure. High-status leaders will seek your line, while insecure provokers will realize that their subtle games are completely transparent to your trained eye. As you integrate these principles into your daily life, remember that reading a room is a continuous dynamic habit. Scan before you step, map spatial orientation, eye gaze vectors, and power hubs in the first 30 seconds. Track the emotional climate, read nonverbal microtensions, barrier behaviors, and vocal cadences before choosing your entry tone. Neutralize hostility with composure. Use physical stillness, low register speech, and objective redirection whenever you face sudden room friction. Mastering this skill requires practice, patience, and deliberate focus. Every meeting, gathering, and brief interaction is an opportunity to sharpen your perceptual lens. Keep your observation sharp, your internal baseline calm, and your boundaries unyielding. When you master the art of reading the room before you speak, you naturally master the room itself, commanding respect, building trust, and leading with effortless authority. wherever you go. Mastering rapid situational awareness transforms you into an untouchable leader who naturally commands every room they enter.